Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started this afternoon. Once again, this is Matt Hartman from Tour de Force CRM, and I appreciate everybody joining in today. The topic of today's webinar is an overview of the Build Your Own Reports module, what we call at Tour de Force the BYOR module. A couple of things before we get started. Actually, Heath from our marketing group is on the call with us today. She's muted at this time, but she is available. If you go to the top of your toolbar in your Zoom meeting, you should see a chat button. If you have questions during the session today, I would ask that you go ahead and please post those to Ashley. Just send her a chat message and ask her the question at the end. We should have plenty of time to get through any questions that you have. I'm anticipating this to be about a 45 minute webinar today, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. This will be a recorded session, so if at the conclusion of the session you would like to get a recording of what we cover today, we can send you an email with a link, and it'll also be posted on our website. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. So once again, this is Matt Hartman from Tour de Force, and I'll be doing the presentation today on the Build Your Own Report module of Tour de Force. The agenda of things that we're going to cover today, I want to talk about what is BYOR, a little bit about the background of BYOR. It kind of evolved over a period of years, and I'll give you a little bit of background on that. Why did Tour de Force develop the BYOR module? Who will gain value from it? The components of BYOR. Then we're going to walk through the administrative side, and then we'll look at some sample outputs. So the first portion of the call is going to be more commercial in nature. The second portion will be more technical in nature, talking about the technical side of how reports are created, how they're built, how the permission structure, all that security stuff works. And then we'll just go into looking at a bunch of different sample reports. And I'll probably show some sample reports from our actual live system, as well as a demonstration system that I'll be working on today. And then again, if you have any questions, please do send those to Ashley Heath. She is on the call and she can chat with you. You can send your questions directly to her. And then once I'm done with the presentation, she will join in via the audio and answer any of those questions for us. First of all, what is Build Your Own Reports? Well, Build Your Own Reports, BYOR, is a module that gives your organization the vehicle to harness the data within your organization in the formats and delivery mechanisms that you want. Really what Tour de Force gives you the ability to do is to create tabular data in a report form. It allows you to put data into charts, graphs, trends. It allows you to pull CRM data like opportunities and activities and expenses and looking at your marketing activity of new contacts, new accounts. It allows you to look globally across the CRM data, but it also allows you to get into your ERP system through the strong business intelligence capabilities that Tour de Force provides. The BYOR is also going to allow you to get into, to include any of that data that exists in your ERP, as well as any other third-party data source that you're connecting into Tour de Force. Really, over the years, what Tour de Force has developed into is a way for you to take a customer and then connect out to every data source in your organization, every spreadsheet, every database that contains information about your customer, and really create a data warehouse inside of the Tour de Force database. And the Build Your Own Reports is going to give you the ability to then report against that data. The background of BYOR, we spent about 2 years in development building the Tour de Force BYOR module. Prior to investing in the development of the module, we looked at a lot of different reporting tools. We looked at SQL report writers. We looked at Crystal Reports. We looked at multiple third-party report writers. And ultimately what we decided to do was to build out our own report writer. Now, about 18 months ago, we began to question that and think, boy, was that the right decision? But we kept plugging forward and finally released the module after about 2 years of development. Last November at our users group, we introduced that. So November of 2013. Since that time, the module today, about half of our customer base has invested in that report writer and is using it on an active basis within their business. So it's got about 3 years of development, 2 years prior to general release, and then over the course of the last year, there's been a tremendous amount of feedback that we've received from customers, and we've continued to enhance. We actually have dedicated developers that all they do is develop on the Build Your Own Report Writer. They have no other responsibility other than reporting and analytics in the other, what we call the alerts and notifications module of Tour de Force. The product is sold as a separate module within the Tour de Force suite. It is included in the business intelligence only, or so in the Tour de Force BI product. It is a core part of that product offering. We have bi-monthly meetings, so training courses that we offer in our Findlay location. So we bring customers in every other month. We have a training class. We're running those classes every month, but now that we've got a lot of our user base trained, we're now running those every other month. They're held in Findlay. So, there is a nice training program to get up and going on BYOR as well. Why was Tour de Force developed? We had a lot of customers that wanted to look at their data in a more of a visual graphical form, and they wanted to be able to report and bring lots of different data sources together. So to be able to create custom dashboards, or what we call KPI indicators, a lot of people, it's a big buzzword out there, KPIs, key performance indicators. So being able to create dashboards that will allow you to see the KPIs that are driving a customer relationship, that are driving a sales territory, that are driving a branch, that are driving your entire company. So as a company, every organization knows what those key things are that drive their business. Are you making enough sales calls? Are you generating enough sales opportunities? Are you selling enough of your key product lines? Do you have the appropriate product mix within key customers? Are you selling across market segments appropriately, or are you selling and isolating yourself within certain market segments? All those types of analytics and reporting are things that you can generate KPI dashboards for, and then be able to easily analyze that at the click of a button. So you don't have to go out to all your different data sources of your CRM, your ERP, and other systems and combine all that data together. So it eliminates a lot of wasted time and expense that is typically associated with creating custom reports. It also is going to help empower your management with direct access to meaningful data. A lot of organizations really struggle to get the appropriate data into their people's hands so that they can make decisions on a timely manner. Looking at a sales report once a month of who your top customers are, of who your declining customers are, who your top product lines are, all of that information, you need to have real-time access so that you can identify trailing 12-month trends. It's more than just looking at this year compared to last year. You need to be able to dynamically compare 12-month trends so that you can look at real-time meaningful data. If you're properly measuring the KPIs, or the key performance indicators that drive your business, it's going to absolutely allow you to promote improved operational efficiency across the organization. It's going to allow you to see where bottlenecks are occurring operationally within your organization. Who's going to gain the value from BYOR? Too many times, report writers are managed by one person, and then everybody has to go to that person to get a report. What ends up happening over time is people stop asking for reports because it's too cumbersome to get the information that they need. With Tour de Force and the BYOR module, everyone in your organization that has a license to Tour de Force is going to get the appropriate KPI dashboards that they need to make decisions. And it's going to help you eliminate making decisions on guesswork, and it's going to give you real data to make those decisions. Now, when you look at what is BYOR, first of all, the BYOR is made up of several components. First of all, you have what's called the BYOR editor. And I'm going to go in and show you the editor and give you a walkthrough of all the different functionality that's available when you go to create reports. But the BYOR editor is where you're going to build reports. It's going to allow you to manage all the graphics and images that you want to use. Within the Build Your Own Report Writer, you have the ability to control all of your reports can respect your company's logos, your color schemes, your watermarks, your images. You have the ability to utilize all of those graphics and images within your report writer. So when you generate reports, they look and feel like your business. They're not generic reports. You also have very comprehensive capabilities on managing and setting up permissions of who can see what information in the system. Now, the best example I can give you on that is a lot of report writers, if you have 50 salespeople and you want to create a monthly KPI dashboard for each sales rep, most report writers would require you to create a report template and then actually copy that template and create 50 different reports that would restrict each salesperson to only see what's relevant to their sales territory. In Tour de Force, based on our permission structure and our comprehensive structure that exists in the core CRM product, you would create one report and then just manage and only allow each user to see the relevant data that they have permissions to. So the little things like you currently manage 50 reports and now you manage one becomes a huge time and cost saver. You also have the ability in Tour de Force to set up company variables. So a lot of KPI dashboards are driven off of revenue per employee, off of gross profit per employee. Lots of different information where the number of employees, that variable that's required is not stored in the ERP. It's not stored in your CRM. So within the Tour de Force report writer, you can set up and manage your own company-based variables that can change on a period-by-period basis. So if you have certain goals, every month you can go in, you can update how many employees you have at the close of every month, and then all of your KPI dashboards that are driven off of information per employee can then be can be calculated against those company variables. You also have the ability to schedule reports to compile on a schedule. So for example, if you have a complex report that as an executive you want to be available and at your fingertips every day at 7 o'clock that contains a comprehensive analysis of information as of the close of the prior business day, you can schedule the reports to render at a certain time every day. You can also have multiple different methods in delivering your BYOR reports. You can deliver those through an email. So instead of just rendering the report and then having somebody have to go to their viewer in their mobile environment or in the Tour de Force application online, you can actually have that email sent to that person as an HTML report directly through their email. You can also run reports that are customer specific. So one of the things I'll show you today is the ability to go in and create a dashboard that has a customer-based scorecard. So that if you have key things in your business that you're trying to drive improvements in your customer relationship, such as maximizing the amount of line items per order. Maybe you have customers that are placing 5 and 6 orders every day. They call every hour, and then every day you've got 6 pick tickets that have to get picked, 6 orders, 6 invoices. And you want to work with that customer to come up with a consolidating ordering process. So maybe at a certain time every day, they place one order with you. You can create dashboards that will help measure performance on a year-over-year, month-over-month, or quarter-over-quarter basis on how you're working towards those objectives. You can also view the reports through what's called the BYOR viewer, which is in the management console of Tour de Force. And then also all of the reports are going to be available to you in the Tour de Force mobile environment as well. So let's take a closer look. I'm going to go out and log into a demo system. The system that I'm connecting to right now is, as you can see, it's Microsoft Outlook. For those of you that are familiar with Tour de Force has a very tight integration with Microsoft Outlook. I'm actually logged in as an administrative user that has rights to all administrative functions within the system. The general user would not have access to the admin utilities that I'm about to go into. So if I go to my admin utilities, go to my advanced features, and open up my Build Your Own Report editor, the Build Your Own Report editor is where you go to access different reports and build reports. So if I go to open a new report, I'm going to go ahead and just open up a report that's a pretty comprehensive report. It's called the Executive Dashboard. So inside my Executive Dashboard, within the report writer, you have a lot of capabilities to build different sections of your report. So in the editor, this is obviously not what this report's going to look like. Every report, you have the ability to add header information that has HTML tags. So if you have people that are in marketing that have some level of HTML experience, they can get really, really creative in creating their report templates, okay? Inside of each report, if I just click in the open space, you can set your theme, so you can create custom themes. In this particular case, if you have multiple themes available, we've picked the custom or the standard tour de force theme. But you can create your own themes for your company that are basically just all HTML or CSS file formats, okay? So you've got a lot of capability in defining your report themes that you want to be used. Each branch can have their own. Each person can have their own if you'd like. There's a lot of flexibility there. Then you have basic functions, as you can see down the right-hand side, on how you can set up and define what this report is going to look like. So once you create a report theme, you then have the ability to come in and create sections of data. So basically, within a data element, if I click on this particular section, which is my sales year to date, and I click on my data source, within Tour de Force, you have the ability to create multiple levels of access to data. And I'm not going to go into all of these data sources, but it allows you basically to access any data point in Tour de Force can be used in creating these dashboard reports. Now, what's great about this is there are over 1,000 sales, profit, margin, order, invoice, over 1,000 analytical data points that we capture and calculate every night when we interface to your ERP system. And that's the BSI data. You can access all of that information in the Build Your Own Report Writers as well. So basically, every report has a report theme, and then within the report, you have sections of data. Now, this is a comprehensive report that has multiple sections of data that's pulling a lot of different information. Some of that is displayed in charts. Some of it is displayed in tabular data. You can do top tens. You can, again, you can get very, very extensive in the way you create these different sections of data. So this is how the report is generated with all these different sections of data, basically for order backlog, top accounts, accounts by sales rep. I've got a complete inventory section because we access your inventory data as well. So this is what the report looks like in the generator. If I minimize and open up my manager's console and go into my analysis section, and go to my BYOR viewer, that report that I was just looking at is what's called my executive dashboard. The executive dashboard in this system, if I just zoom into it, the executive dashboard, this is the output of what that report looked like that I was just working in. So it's got my sales information. You notice that the format meets the template. I've got my header at the top, so you can have your own logos, your own company information. I've got sales information with different trends. I've got inventory information. If you've got multiple warehouses, you can do inventory summaries by warehouse, inventory values by vendor, inventory values by product group. I can look at different charts. So I can look at bar charts, trend charts, pie charts. I can look at sales by salesman, my top accounts, my order backlog summary, showing my backlog by salesperson, their total open amount, open cost, profit, margin. Okay, inventory value by my top 10 items. I can pull in AR information. So basically what this dashboard can be set up and configured to show you, as an executive, any piece of information that is relevant that you want to see in a snapshot can be compiled here. Now this is showing you a lot of information that's coming out of your ERP. But you can also include any information about your sales funnel, about activities, about new account creation. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that as we go. So if I minimize my manager's console, go back into my editor. So within the editor, I have the ability, again, to create. I can add rows, add sections. I can lay out every section exactly where I want it to be. Once I create reports, I have the ability, as I'm working on a report, to preview it, to see what it looks like. I have the ability to set up different options and different themes so that if I create a certain theme, I have options where I can define my default theme of what I want every report. You can define how your data is being cached, what your time, there's a lot of different basic options here, how you want to format whenever a period. So whether you want each month to be displayed, what format you want months, quarters, years to be displayed. Okay, so there's just some basic options. The file cabinet is where you have the ability to manage all of your different images. So you can upload different images that you want to be available in your report writer. And then those images can be used as watermarks. They can be used in the header like what I was showing you. In the executive scorecard, we have the Tour de Force logo in there. So you can create different banner images. Basically anything that you can create into a JPEG you can post as an image. Your permissions is where you then have the ability to create different groups of reports. So as you can see here, I have 6 different groups of reports. So you can have different reports for inventory management, for purchasing, for sales, for executives, for branch managers. You can then create permissions against those groups. So you can put people into a group, which will give them access to run reports, to edit reports. You can also apply permissions at an individual report level. So you can pick any report and grant access to any individual in the organization. If you want to give access to everybody, it's very simple. You just select that report, select all the users, say allow everybody to run this report, and apply, and you can very quickly give everybody in the organization access. Or if this report is assigned to a category, the user would just inherit whatever those permissions were from that particular report category. You have the ability to secure reports. You have the ability to find which reports are available in the mobile environment because Tour de Force Mobile gives you the access to see these different reports. You have the ability, as you're in the process of working on a report, when somebody checks out a report, like I just checked out the executive dashboard, if anybody else tried to check that report out or make any changes, it would not allow them. So it does have version control built in so that you can't have multiple people editing the same report. Under the variables is where I talked about, it gives you the ability to actually come in and put in quotas. So for example, if you wanted to put in quotas for a certain period over period, that would be opportunity-based quotas, sales-based quotas, margin-based quotas. Tour de Force does have a fully integrated sales planning component that's built in. You can access all of your sales goals within BYOR as well. In the example I used earlier, this would be number of employees, where I can go ahead and set the number of employees I have, and then every month I can simply come in and change or edit that variable for that particular period. So I can come to period 7 and I can say use the new value of 29 employees in period 9 and go ahead and save that. So now I have a new value in period 9. Okay. If you want to use it as the default across the board, you can. So the ability to set up and use these variables can then be used because in any one of the reports, when you generate a tabular set of data, you can have calculated rows, calculated cells that can calculate against those variable data sets. The scheduled runs is where you have the ability to take any report and add that report as a schedulable report. So if I take a report, first of all, when I create a report, a lot of the reports you can render on demand, which means when I go ahead and render it, I can pick what subset of the company I want to report against. So if I have a territory sales analysis, when I go to render that report, I would just pick which territory I want to run that against, and I would only be able to pick territories that I have access to. Or you can go ahead and automatically set up those reports to point against a specific segment of your database and then schedule those to run as well. So you pick what user you want to run. So if you want to have it run as an individual user, you can do that. And then you just set up the schedule of when you want these to run. So if you want it to run once a day, once every hour, once a month. You can schedule those to run. And then all the reports at that scheduled time are going to run on whatever interval that you sent. Now, the other piece of managing how reports are generated is that you can create a schedulable report. Let me just go ahead and close my editor. Another function in Tour de Force is what's called the alerts and notifications. Now, alerts and notifications allow you to generate and manage how you can alert people on things that happen within the business, but you can also schedule BYOR reports to run and to be emailed out, like I mentioned earlier. So you can pick what report, just come in, pick what report you want to run. And in this case, I picked my executive dashboard, and then I can schedule who is subscribed to that, so I can add any user in the company to be subscribed to this particular alert. So if I want to pick different people, assign them to that alert. Okay. If I want to take this report and apply a secondary level of restriction to it, okay, I have the ability to click on my filter editor and provide additional filtering capabilities on that report. So for example, if I have an executive dashboard that is set to run for the entire company, if I want to give another individual, maybe at a branch, rights to that report, maybe they have access to more than just their branch, I can use the additional filtering to say, when this schedules to run, only give them information relevant to their branch. I don't want to give them the entire company, but I want to use this report form and just give them data relevant to their branch. So the alerts and notifications will allow you to schedule the alerts to not only run and render, but also email those out to your users. Okay, I'm going to go back into my viewer, and I talked a little bit about the executive dashboard. This dashboard is pulling information primarily from the ERP integration, so the business intelligence that's coming from the ERP. I'm going to pull another report. I love this report. This is what we call, this is a report that we put on people's systems. So when people go live on Tour de Force, one of the reports that we go ahead and create for them is what's called a trailing 12 adoption by account package. So if a company is going live on Tour de Force, one of the things that their management want to know is, are people using the CRM? That's one of the biggest concerns that most companies have making an investment in a CRM application is, are our people going to use it, and how are we going to hold them accountable? My rolling 12 adoption, in this case, I'm looking at a rolling 12 adoption by account package. If you are a company that is going to be using account management, contact management, opportunities, activities, appointments, tasks, you can pick any item type in Tour de Force, and then you can create what's called, or actually this is a part of a base install, it's what's called the rolling 12 adoption by account package. This will allow you to look at every user in your system and be able to look over the prior 12 months, how many new accounts did they add? How many new contacts did they add? How many sales opportunities did they log? How many sales activities did they log? All of these are drillable. So if I want to look at those 14 activities that got generated, I can drill down and look at all the activities that got generated, in which accounts they were, what type of an account they were, what type of an activity was it. So all the reports within Tour de Force, you have the ability to hyperlink the data so that you can drill down into the details. Okay, so this is just an example of, like I say, this is what we call the rolling 12 adoption. It's picking the item types and the areas of product that you're going to use, and then being able to track and measure adoption. Now, in a relevant, this is a demo database, so there's a lot of sporadic data that gets dumped into here. But what this would allow you to do is to look at trends and to be able to actually look at your trailing 12-month sales or opportunities and look at, as we've identified and increased our sales activities, have our sales opportunities, have we begun to see an increase in opportunities? Or as we schedule more appointments, are we seeing a relevant amount of activities? So you can track whether people are actually logging and scheduling appointments, but they're not actually logging those sales activities into the database. So this is just another example of a report. You do have the ability to create a lot of different reports that are based upon different gauges, charts, graphs. This is just an example of a gauge where you have a goal as a company of generating $10 million in new sales opportunities and then tracking where you're at versus goal. So you can include different gauges. All of these reports, again, can be used and accessed on the Tour de Force homepage as well. Okay. Now, if I go to an individual account, so when I look at my reports in the report viewer, again, I can run these reports against the entire company, but if I also run a report as an individual, it's only going to show me those reports that or that information that I have access to. So if I look at last year's top 25 accounts with product group detail, as a sales rep, every time I run this, it's only going to show me my top 25 accounts, a total of sales to those accounts, but then all the reports give you the ability to create groupings and drill downs as well. So within my territory, I can see my top level sales, then who are my top 25 accounts, then I can drill down into those accounts to see sales by product, sales by vendor. So I've got full drill down capabilities, and you can drill down multiple levels deep within your data. So you can basically take your top level sales, group it by customer, then group it by product. You can actually group it by item, and then within each of these products, I'd be able to drill down in and look at every single item within that product group as well. So not only can you create, graphical views of the data through dashboards, you can create traditional reports as well that give you that full drill down capability. Okay. Now, if I go to one of my top accounts, so if I click on my recent items, and if I open up my diversified chemicals account, this is an account record in Tour de Force. So, this is the ability, this account is directly linked into your ERP system. This is where you can see everything about this particular account, all the activities, everything. There's a tab up top called BYOR reports where you can create and generate customer-specific scorecards. So this is an example. All the reports I've shown you so far have been reports that are pre-rendered or run on a scheduled basis. When you run a customer-specific scorecard, this is what's called a render on demand. So every time I go to click on it, I'm getting real-time data as of that moment in time, as opposed to looking at data that was compiled at 7 o'clock that morning or on any other schedule that you've set. So in this particular case, my customer scorecard, give it just a second here to render. Okay, so the scorecard I'm looking at, again, you can see it's in a standard format that we create all our reports on the demo system. This would give you the ability to create a dashboard where you can look at an account and you can see everything about this account. Let me just zoom in here. In this particular case, you can combine accounts receivable information. You can look at orders and invoices with the ability to drill down into invoices, because Tour de Force synchronizes invoices from your ERP. So every one of these hyperlinks, if you wanted to be able to drill down into the invoices, right through the hyperlink, you can drill down and see every single item that's contained on those invoices. Okay? If you look at your rolling 6, is showing you your rolling 6 months for sales and profit. So it's just showing you your current 6-month trend within that account. Your top product group. So within Tour de Force, you have the ability to identify what we call key product lines and key vendors. And anytime you are looking at a scorecard for a customer, you may want to look at that particular customer and look at their performance across those 10 key products or those 10 key vendors, or just simply look at who are the top 10 products and top 10 vendors within that account. It also allows you to look at comparatives from last year to this year. So you can see trends that last year I did over $115,000 with Sam's Globe. This year to date, I've only done 16. That's of concern, okay? It allows you to do that by product, by vendor, by item. And this is just an example showing you of all the open orders that you have at that account, any opportunities. If you want to drill down in and see the 5 opportunities that have been, or the 14 opportunities that have been created this year, you can direct, well, guess I've got a bad drill down here. So you can drill down directly into that source data. You can look at all the activities. So you can see that in 2012, your salesperson recorded 148 sales activities. In 2013, that dropped down to 25, and in 2014, all the way down to 39. So don't have nearly as much activity at this account. And if you were looking at a 3-year trend, you may see the same sales results where you're not doing as much business at that account because you don't have nearly as much activity. And an activity in tour de force terms would be a sales call. So when you generate these customer scorecards, you can get very, very creative. And what I encourage people to do, and what we've seen a lot of customers do, is create these customer scorecards and create customer scorecards that contain information that you can share with a customer. So you may have a scorecard that is pure sales driven. It does not have any cost on it. This gives you the ability to go in and generate this scorecard through Tour de Force Mobile right on your iPad, and then you can talk through this information with a customer. So you've got all the information that's driving that customer relationship right in front of your salesperson's hand as they're sitting there with a customer. Okay? If you need to go into more detail on any of this information, you can obviously go back into the sales data screen within Tour de Force. So if a customer's got, wants to know more information about a particular sales order, you can go directly to the sales order relevant to that account, drill into that sales order, see all the line items, see what the scheduled or required date, any information about this line item. And this information is coming directly out of the ERP that we're connecting to. Okay? So the ability to look at quotes, orders, bookings, invoices, all of that information is going to be available in more detail when you go into the sales analysis for this account. Okay, the last piece I want to show you is out on Tour de Force Mobile. So if I go back to my desktop, open up my browser, and log into my demo account, demo system. This is the Tour de Force Mobile interface to the same demonstration server that I was just on. So on my Tour de Force Mobile homepage, when I go to my daily run reports, all those same reports that I had access to when I was online is going to be available to me on my mobile device. So I like to use the example, if I'm an executive that, I take my iPad home every night, every day, 6 o'clock, I roll out of bed, I get up, I go make some coffee, sit down at the kitchen table, catch up on some news. I can go to my mobile homepage on my tablet and look at my executive dashboard and see anything I need to see about what's happening within my business. Okay, so no more digging, no more going to the office, running reports. Anything you need to know about your company is going to be available at your fingertips. Now, if I go into, this is my live production system, and I'm going to show you some real reports, a lot of information that we use. We have a lot of reports that we use. We actually, as an organization, we have 4 primary groups or teams within our organization. We have a development organization that's obviously responsible for product development. We have a support organization that's responsible for managing our customer support. We have professional services that provides consulting and implementation, and then we have a sales team. In our lunchroom and throughout our office, we have flat screen TVs, and we have what we call KPI dashboards that are key performance indicators that drive our business. And on those flat screen TVs, we've got 55-inch flat screens in the lunchroom, in the office. They are circulating throughout the day. They're scrolling through different KPI dashboards for each team. So basically what that means is nobody's going to run and hide because everybody knows if everybody's doing their job and meeting the key performance indicators that are going to drive the success of our business. So for example, in our sales organization, if I look at our sales year-to-date dashboard, we are very, very activity driven. We are constantly looking at the sales activities that our sales team are performing. Are they doing the appropriate amount of demos? Are we making enough outbound calls? Are we doing enough webinars? Are we driving enough attendance on our webinars? We do everything on a quarter-over-quarter basis. So when you look at the different types of activities, how many attendees we've had at different web presentations, we are counting all that information. We are also looking at our sales funnel. So looking at our wins, our losses, what we have generated new, our sales performance to goal, a lot of different information that we're tracking. We also want to track all of the incoming new accounts that come in through our web and through our marketing activities. So this example at the bottom, looking at my new accounts by current status, is showing me every account of all new accounts that were generated through our website or our marketing activities. And then what is the current status of those accounts? So how many out of the 231 generated this quarter have been advanced to an opportunity? How many are active customers that we've actually closed and won business from? How many have been qualified? So we track all of our leads through different stages, and then we can track against that to measure our performance. So I'm very data driven. I like to look at what's called tabular data. I'm not a big picture guy. I like real data. But you can also create reports. So for example, if we look at our professional services and we look at our professional services performance review, this is a report that's got a combination of tabular data as well as different gauges in report, or different gauges to track key pieces of information. So this is looking at all of the people in our professional services, their billable activities quarter over quarter as well as month over month. So as you can see, you can combine information across your key CRM data, activities, opportunities, appointments, all the things that drive new business opportunities, but then you also need to be able to include that data that's coming over from the ERP system. Okay? So those are some examples. Just to recap on the BYOR, you've obviously got the report generator, which is going to be more of a technical piece. You know, the average salesperson's not going to use and create reports. You're typically going to have somebody at the administrative side, but then you want to make it very easy to distribute and publish those reports. So being able to publish those through mobile, being able to publish those through the viewer, being able to email that information out every day to your people becomes very important. Okay? So what I want to do at this point, I want to open it up to questions. Actually, I'll ask you to join in, and anybody who has questions, if you would like to just send a chat message to Ashley, and she will go through those questions before we conclude today.
Hi, Matt. No questions so far, but we'll give it a couple minutes and see what we have come in. Okay.
Just to clarify, if you do have a question, if you're having a hard time finding the chat, when you're on the the Zoom meeting, up at the top you have a little panel across the top. If you put your mouse across that, and then over on the right-hand side, there is a chat function. So where it says more, if you click on that, those three little dots, it actually takes you into a chat. Then you can click on the chat, and then you can send a message to Ashley. Actually, since we're in the questions and answer, you can send that directly to either of us.
Okay, Matt, we do have a couple. One is, can you go back into the business intelligence section and show where we might track close ratios and advancement ratios?
Tracking close ratios and advancement ratios. I'm not sure about the advancement ratios, but absolutely I'm assuming that you're probably talking about, are you talking about conversion ratios of quotes to order, or are you talking about close ratios on the opportunities and then being able to look at a comparison of your sales funnel and look at, you know, the percentage of business that you're winning, losing, et cetera, at the opportunity level or at the quote level? So I'll let you answer that, and I'm going to go in and I'll actually show you.
And Matt, yes, close ratios on opportunities, and yes for the sales funnel.
Okay. So one of the ways you can do that outside of BYOR in the opportunity management of Tour de Force, one of the capabilities you have is we have a pretty comprehensive what we call summary analysis. So if you wanted to look at year-to-date comparisons you could compare your sales funnel year over year and looking at the dollar amount of new, dollar amount to period, your dollar amount, your variance to goal, the dollar amount of closed, won, the percentage of wins, close ratios, and then you can do this as a company, or you can actually do it by account package. So if I look at this year to date, I can compare each sales rep side by side on wins, losses, etc. And there's a tremendous amount. All of these data points and all these analytics, you can also include and create BYOR dashboards to look at this information as well. So all of this can be included.
And then Matt, she also clarified a little bit more. Advancement ratios would be showing us the percentage of opportunities that advance forward through the different sales process stages.
Yeah, that would be looking at on every opportunity when you're looking at opportunities in tour de force. One of the things you have the ability to do is to track sales stages. So you would define your own sales stages in your organization, and then all of these sales stages, so whatever sales process that you're using, you would have the ability to track as they advance through. Actually, you have the ability to time date stamp every time a sales stage changes. You can also, every time a projected close, you can turn on change log and you can track any field on the opportunity and track those changes. And you can actually alert people on those as well. You can look at opportunities when they're created and where do they currently stand in the sales process as well. Okay. Now, for the person asking that question, you can get into a lot of, there's one of the things about tour de force is that it is not a canned out of the box product. Far from it. Tour de force is a very configurable system that allows you to really set up and manage the system based on your business processes. So if the person asking that question would like to get online and do a one-on-one session, we'd be happy to dive as deep as you want into the capabilities of the opportunity management, because the opportunity management of tour de force is very, very strong.
Okay, next question. Does tour de force work with Outlook.com?
Yeah, well, as long as you're using the Office 360 or Outlook 360, Outlook.com is actually the browser-based interface. In that particular case, there would be some additional questions. Short answer is yes, but there's going to need to be more detail. There's multiple versions of that. Tour de force does not have to be used with Outlook. We actually interface to Google as well. Everything I've shown you so far, when you're looking at your accounts, when you're working within the management console of tour de force, completely independent of Outlook. You don't even have to have Outlook on the computer. There are functions that are available if you are using Outlook.
Okay, that's all the questions for now. Okay, somebody else asked, how about Outlook for Mac?
Outlook for Mac, if you are running a Mac computer, tour de force cannot be installed on the Mac OS, but it can be installed on a Mac computer if you are running in dual boot mode. So if you have the ability to dual boot your Mac computer into a Windows, you can install tour de force in that Windows boot.
Okay. A final question that I had, Matt, we kind of looked at the BYOR editor, which is a little bit complicated until you get to know it, until you learn it.
Absolutely.
For most of our customers, would you say IT is managing the reports or sales management is actually managing the creation of the reports?
It's probably a little bit across the board. A lot of times, if a company already has somebody who is a report writer in their organization, you'll find that person is going to be a natural for managing the BYOR. A lot of times, if you have a sales administrator or a sales admin that's really good with Excel, just a general strong application skills, they absolutely can learn and generate the reports. I hadn't touched I'll be real honest, I hadn't touched the BYOR editor in a couple of months. I don't use it very, very often. It's once you get over the what I'll call the initial shock factor of everything that you can do with it, once you understand it, it's pretty clean. What I will also tell you is that a lot of customers attend the BYOR training to learn all the capabilities of BYOR, but then because we are publishing and making available, as we build new reports, new sample reports, we make those reports available to our customers. And we also have a lot of customers that will say, hey, we just want you to create the report. We have a team and a group of people that are very good at creating the reports that can create them very fast. You can use your support credits to have us create custom reports for you. So a lot of people attend the training, get themselves familiar with the capabilities. They can manage and make tweaks to reports, but if they want to create a comprehensive report, they'll typically have us create, in a lot of cases, they'll have us create that for them, give it to them, and then they just manage it from that point forward.
Okay, that's all the questions we have for now.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate everybody's time today. Hopefully you found this beneficial. And again, if there are questions outside of the BYOR, like the questions related to the opportunity management, would love to get online and share more about the opportunity management, a lot of the other capabilities of Tour de Force, because again, this was just focused on the report writer today. So we'd like to do that. And each of you, your regional sales manager will be following up with you. Either you probably get some follow-up either from Jared, Josh, or Pete as a follow-up to this call today. And then if we need to schedule a one-on-one session, we'd be happy to do it. So thanks again for attending, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.